Hi everyone, I hope you had a good break. Today we're going to be doing an activity where you are looking at maps of Africa and basically making some conclusions about imperialism. We're getting away from geography, although certainly that is going to be very helpful for our understanding of how Africa was taken over by other countries. But this will be more focused on the history. There will be a reading that you'll be doing on Wednesday that also goes along with this, but I wanted you to try to do these maps and kind of come to some conclusions before you actually read about what happened. Okay, so let me get this activity up and then I'll walk you through it. All right, so there will be two maps and I have this zoomed in. I'll show you the rest. There will be about 8 questions that you'll have to answer based on two maps. The maps will be on the second page of the assignment, so you'll have to scroll down in order to see them. Okay, the first map is Africa in 1880. And then the second map is Africa in 1914. What's really nice about this is that you guys can zoom in and see, get the maps as big as you need to in order to do the activity. Some things I wanted to actually just go through, especially with the 1880 map. So you'll see these different territories. Anything that's gray is not controlled by another country. Okay, so gray is not controlled by any country. And there will be some parts that you notice aren't controlled, like the centers of Africa. Um, that is just to help you kind of put that out. So then everything else here is territories owned by other countries. And they are color coded. You do kind of have to zoom in on them to see. So like anything that's this navy blue color, like Algeria and Congo and Senegal, they have FR next to it. That means they're French. Okay. This dark green, you see OT, that actually stands for Ottoman Empire, which no longer exists. But you can kind of see. If they say things like Morocco or Ethiopian, they're not necessarily controlled by any one country yet, but they are pretty specific empires. Okay. To give you others idea, if you're talking about this salmon colored, the Cape Colony, that's British, and Gold Coast is British. That's what the BR stands for. And I think those are the big ones. POR, that'd be Portugal for Angola, which is like it's not that navy green, but or that dark green. I don't think navy green is a color. It's been a long few weeks. That dark green, it's just a little bit lighter. That would be Portugal. I'm trying to see if there's any others on here that might be difficult to see. A lot of them too are talking about Muslim, so anything that's a caliphate, that would be Muslim controlled, Muslim areas. But I think those are the big ones. If you can recognize the British and the French and the Portuguese, okay. And it also looks like Spain has a couple as well. SP would be Spain. So definitely zoom in where you need to. Take a look at those colors to help you out. Look for, some sort of telling you what it is. Okay, and if you have difficulty with that and you can't figure out, please email me, reach out to me, and I'll try and help the best I can. 1914 is a little bit easier in many ways to read. One thing you'll notice, gee, even the centers of Africa are now completely filled out. Okay, there really is, other than two areas, there really is, everything is basically controlled. There is a key here. They tell you what color represents what country. So British would be, again, that salmon color. French is a bluish purple. German is green. Italian is orange. Portuguese is like a teal. You get the idea. And of course, the gray would be those independent African states, which, again, there are only two. So you'll kind of take a look and try and guess with those. All right, so let me go. Let me zoom out now so you can see. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. The first page of the assignment will be this, and these are the questions that you're going to be answering. So in West Africa in 1880, several different European countries controlled small areas right next to each other. Why might this be so? Again, think geography. That's really going to help you there. Why in 1880 did the European countries not control the interior or the center of Africa or the African continent? Again, think geography. Make those connections. Which two powers had the largest colonial territory in 1914? Be aware of dates. so that you make sure you're looking at the appropriate map to get your answers. By 1914, the British were interested in building a Cape to Cairo railroad from South Africa to Egypt, which two colonies blocked their ability to do so. So in that 1914 map, you're going to have to look for Cape, which is South Africa, all the way at the bottom, and then Cairo, which is Egypt, up at the top. Try to pave where the British are and what colonies they bump into if you were to draw a straight line. That's what that question is asking. Which two areas had never been controlled by European powers by 1914? Which, again, I mentioned that before. Why might this be so? Take a guess. Think about it. That is something that you'll be reading a little bit about in the future. Um, 6, the rivalry between France and Britain was one of the most intense in Europe. Offer evidence from these maps that might demonstrate this rivalry. So what evidence could you provide that shows that France and Great Britain were in competition with one another? Okay. And again, it should that can be bullet points. It's not that that has to be in complete sentences, but like, what are some examples that you could pull? Okay. 7, how do the boundaries of European colonies in 1914 match up with the boundaries of pre-colonial society on the 1880 map? So you're comparing the two maps here and figuring out, is there any correlation between 1880s countries and 1914's countries? Like, how you're going to be deciding this? Is there any rhyme or reason to European countries deciding on borders for their colonies? Um, Basically, how did they divide up Africa? What criteria do you think that they used? And look, I get you haven't done reading on this yet, but take a guess. You guys are smart. You guys have already done geography readings. Think about it. Do you see anything in the maps that might determine how they decided those lines? And then finally, this the last one is, what conclusions can you draw about European imperialism of Africa by looking at these two maps? What can you say about Africa? Okay, remember, this whole activity is to look at imperialism and how Africa was divided up. What can you draw or say with certainty after looking at these two maps? Okay. So if you have any other questions, please reach out to me. It should be pretty straightforward. And I will be back on Wednesday, and again, Zoom meeting on Friday, and I'm going to see about maybe getting some Zoom meetings up during the week. Nothing with Zoom will ever be mandatory, but it'll be a way to ask questions and that I get to see your faces again. I do miss you guys. I hope you're well, and good luck. Email me if you have questions.